culture have been described as veritable tools to promoting national unity. It is true that in a multi-ethnic society like Nigeria, national cohesion may be a little difficult to attain, but it is, however, not impossible task if the will is there. The history of all the ethnic nationalities in Nigeria is replete with astonishing breakthroughs that have become the cynosure of all eyes, especially to visitors who come to Nigeria from different parts of the world. Though the greatest challenge facing Nigeria is the threat to its national unity, there have been institutions promoting values which continue to keep the nation united, such as Unity Schools, National Youth Service Corps, the National Theatre, cultural sites and monuments. Others are drama, music, festivals, food, and variety of social interactions like marriages and business engagements. How can Nigeria leverage on the abundant, rich cultural heritage to promote national unity? These issues and more will be discussed on Panorama, coming to you live from the Lagos Network Center of the Nigerian Television Authority. And a quick reminder that you can also follow us live online on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now, on Facebook, Network News, and on our YouTube channel, NTA Live. And not forgetting our website, nta.ng/live. I am Adeola Komiakere. The federal government has averted aviation union's industrial unrest scheduled to kick off February 8. The suspension was due to a satisfactory response to the two issues affecting the unions. Minister of Labour and Employment Chris Ngige informed the media that all the agencies that have not paid the national minimum wage should write to National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission through the Ministry of Aviation for consideration and evaluation.
These agencies should be reviewed by the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages so that they will find out whether the adjustments to be done. And if that is so, those adjustments should be effected and sent to Presidential Committee on Salaries for approval.
That the issue of condition of service affecting agencies under Aviation Ministry is to be addressed together with its financial implications.
Have been done and submitted many years ago, some up to 3, 4, 5 years. Meeting concluded that this is not in good step, and we wanted to take a more proactive step to conclude the review of this condition of service.
It's basically two issues, and they've been resolved amicably, and they will be implemented. And our word is our bond.
Correspondent Emmanuel Ayimiro reports that the meeting concluded that by the end of first quarter of 2022, the Aviation Ministry should ensure the approval, release, and implementation of the reviewed conditions of service for all workers in the agencies under Aviation Ministry. Dirt petrol stations in some parts of Lagos as motorists commuters lament loss of man-hours. This scenario is not unusual during perceived fuel shortage.
I don't queue for Niru. They say fuel finish. That early in the morning, before I come queue here now. Till 9 o'clock till now, I never see fuel buy. Manager say fuel don't finish. But now some cars, they park for back, they now open gate for them, they enter.
Although nobody was able to state for a fact that there is fuel scarcity, many attribute the situation There is sufficient fuel for Nigerians. This commuter said she has been waiting for hours to get transport to her destination.
People say that some filling station they are closing. Yes, but I don't know whether there is no fuel. I don't understand.
For this commuter, however, it was different on the mainland.
When I was coming to work in the morning, I did not see any queue in the filling stations. But I'm shocked that on coming to Island, there are queues.
The stations visited along Awolowo Way on Victoria Island were not dispensing the product, while the fuel selling had long vehicular queues which caused a bit of traffic along Ahmadu Bello Way. Commuters are apprehensive that with this situation, there will be a hike in transport fares and are calling on relevant authorities to address the situation speedily. The 38th session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of African Union has suspended the decision by the chairman of the AU Commission, Musa Faki Mohammed, to grant an observer status to Israel. Consequently, a 7-man committee of African leaders, including President Muhammadu Buhari, has been set up to critically analyze the situation and make recommendations on the best way forward in the interest of the continent. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president is back in Abuja.
The chairperson of the African Union Commission had in July last year taken a decision to grant Israel observer status at the AU, an action that came barely 2 months after an outbreak of violence in the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Musa Faki Mohammed, in defense of the action, said it is within his sphere of competence and was at the express request of many member states. Nigeria and other countries are, however, dismayed at the lack of sufficient consultation and transparency, especially in view of Africa's strong support for the two-state solution. Records show that President Buhari's Nigeria maintains cordial relations with Israel, but remains unflinching in its position on a two-state solution to the crisis between Israel and Palestine, as well as full respect of the human rights of Palestinians. Consequently, to avoid needless division amongst member states on the matter, the African leaders resolved by consensus to suspend the decision taken by the AU chairperson. A committee of 7 African leaders is therefore created to make recommendations to the AU summit, which remains worried over the development. The newly elected chairperson of the African Union and Senegalese leader Macky Sall is to chair the committee. He is therefore expected to take the initiative of launching the works of the high-level committee. In the meantime, the summit, which ended on Sunday, condemned in strong terms the recent wave of military coups in parts of the continent. The African leaders, who described the unconstitutional changes of government as inimical to peace, stability and development, ratified the suspension of Sudan, Guinea, Mali and Burkina Faso from the bloc. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari is back in the country after a successful outing at the African Union Summit in Ethiopia, the land of origins. He was received on arrival at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport by the FCT Minister Muhammad Musa Bello, Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba, Director General, Department of State Services Yusuf Magaji Bichi, and other senior government officials. In Abuja, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
The role of professionals in politics and nation building is the issue that dominates the discussion at the inaugural conference of the All Progressives Congress Professionals Forum held in Abuja Monday. In his remarks at the event, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo observes that the future of a nation depends on professionals who are prepared to live up to their professional calling. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
There is a saying that a bird does not fly with only one wing, and so it is with politics and governance, or rather politicians and professionals.
Basically, there are challenges, but what I know is that once you bring your skill, your professionalism to system, say no when you need to say no, say yes when you need to say yes, then you know you have a place. in the political space.
I know that part of the problems we have is that the professionals, when they go into politics, they abandon their ethics because professional comes with ethics.
And there's nothing as discouraging as when it's time for appointments, you begin to bring strangers, all in the name of experts, technocrats, who were not there when the campaigns were going on.
The argument here is of two folds. While some decried the non-involvement of the elite in politics, others are of the view that professionals in politics are not adequately utilized. Whichever way it is, the Vice President underscores the need for every Nigerian to get involved in the task of nation building.
Development and prosperity cannot be understood merely as the exceptionalism of a few individuals that manage to prevail against the odds. This is not an adequate response to the challenges that confront us. True progress is about reimagining our collective circumstances and creating an environment that enables prosperity for us all. This is the challenge for us as professionals. It's only through public spiritedness and dedication to the common good that we can, as a people, truly become greater than the sum of our parts.
Discussion by these panelists further emphasized commitment to nation building.
Do well to remember that this during the lifetime of this administration, that the youth, the women, and today the professionals are now picking the gauntlet to show to Nigeria that politics is a serious business.
President Muhammad Buhari has set up high government administration standard, and we must continue to build on that.
The forum says it aims to harness all available professional skills and expertise in promoting and driving the party manifesto and activities for the benefit of all Nigerians. From the banquet hall of the State House, it's Jide Onifade, NJ News.
Niger State Governor and Chairman, North Central States Governors Forum, Abubakar Sani Bello, has urged the military to intensify efforts in their operations in the state as directed by President Muhammadu Buhari. The governor's plea followed the recent incessant and sporadic increase in attacks by the terrorists in Shiroro, Muya, Rafi, and Paikoro local government areas of a state. In a statement issued by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Mary Noel Bedge, indicates that the Governor decried the constant attacks on many communities and consequential loss of lives and property, including military bases in Alawa and Galadima, Kogo. He expressed displeasure over the heightened nefarious activities of terrorists, noting that criminality is carried out with reckless abandon in a manner that undermines the efforts of the security agencies drafted to the area. While appreciating the efforts of a joint security task force stationed in the embattled communities, the governor renewed his call to the people to assist the security agencies with credible intelligence that will enhance effective operations against the terrorists. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari had recently directed the military to carry out extensive coordinated military onslaught against the terrorists in Niger State. You're watching Panorama on the network service of the NTA. Remember, you can also follow this news live online on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now, on Facebook, Network News, and on our YouTube channel, NTA Live. Our website is nta.ng/live. The news continues shortly.
Nigerians, coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide, don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long, live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibility.
Thank you for staying on. Promoting tolerance and understanding can sometimes be challenging in a heterogeneous country like Nigeria. But as a people who cherish assets like arts and culture, achieving national unity has been simplified. Hingino John Adams examines the role of arts and culture in building a united Nigeria.
As the most populous black nation in the world, Nigeria has diverse and rich cultural heritage. The various languages, dialects, way of dressing, dance steps, and dishes reflect the robust cultural assets of the country. These add to her beauty. Little wonder, they say, variety is the spice of life. The beauty that comes with this heterogeneity is not without some challenges, which may include difficulty in understanding the basic elements of each other's cultures and beliefs, as well as perceived frictions. Arts and culture as people's way of life play a great role in turning the multiplicity of Nigeria into unity.
Culture has been able to bring people together through festivals, through cultural shows and programs. People have been able to adapt to other people's food, adapt to other people's clothing, adapt to other people's even language.
Cultural enthusiasts believe that the country's heterogeneous nature is a good source of strength.
Intentionally, we must teach our children our language. Teach them Igbo, Hausa, Ibibio, whatever, wherever you are from.
They also advocate appreciating other people's way of life to achieve a better Nigeria.
If people have an understanding of the way of life of other people, it promotes some level of understanding, it promotes some level of respect.
Cultural enthusiasts say if Nigerians uphold the saying, together we stand and divided we fall, national unity will take the lead. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
And joining me live in the studio is Ahmed Mohammed. Ahmed, Artistic Director of a National Troupe of Nigeria. Good for you to join us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, what you just saw the background reports talking about arts and culture building Nigerian unity.
Yes.
Now, to what extent can this, really promote national unity and cohesion?
You asked about to what extent. I would say it's in twofold.
Okay.
One, there is that level upon which society itself agrees to work together in harmony. Two, there is also the part that government facilitates. So as a society, Nigeria is a ethnic country with about 250 ethnic groups. Some of our cultures are quite distinct. But we know over time, because people travel, across, for trade and commerce, and sometimes even for leisure, people learn about other people's cultures. And because culture is also dynamic, people also borrow from other cultures, and impute into their own culture. And they can be able to see others in what they do, and also see themselves in what they do. So that's quite essential, as Nigeria. As a people in Nigeria, for us to work, together. Secondly, looking at the government perspective, because government, had policies, on culture, which establishes the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture at the center. Yeah. And then each state has a Ministry of Culture and Tourism.
Of course.
And then each LGA, we have what we call a cultural officer. These people, these agencies and the persons that are down there at the grassroots are supposed to be mediating, in promoting and preserving our own cultures. And over time, because of, there are some celebrations that bring us, to one center. For instance, the National Festival of Arts and Culture that always comes once in a year. It's like, a community where every Nigerian comes to showcase their wares in terms of their languages, their food, their arts and crafts. People buy from one another. People have opportunities to talk to each other. And then we take certain information from that and go back home, and develop our own resolve to say, the people that we thought probably are not good are good, because we're able to see ABC from them, and that's a good one. For us, as a national troupe of Nigeria, we are also showcasing the performative arts of Nigeria.
Yes.
For instance, recently we came up with Strange, which tells the story of how Nigeria got its independence, to struggles our leaders went through. So people who thought probably we got our independence on the platter of gold will understand that no, it is not.
Yes.
There are political issues, there are intellectual, things that came into bear. So we can be able to take this across Nigeria to show especially our youth who seem to think that probably they don't have a country, to know that this country is one united, even though we have distinct cultures, but we are looking at how do we really look at those cultures in a positive way.
All right. Now, considering Nigeria's multi-ethnic setting, how can the unity she passionately desires be achieved?
Well, some of the people that have really been showcased have already mentioned that. One, understanding that there is no culture that is more important than other culture. Everybody must understand that yours is good, but the other person's culture is also good. And the need for us to also open up our mind to learn from one another.
Yeah.
That's quite important, because there is nothing that as important as dialogue. Culture helps you to read dialogue, within and outside your own environment, to understand that, development is all about progression. Do you get the point? So dialogue is one key aspect that culture can be able to help us do. And I think I'm also a proponent of not people learning about their language, but also learning another language, apart from our language within that environment. Because it has been said that when you learn a new language, you gain a new soul. If you can be able to speak somebody's language, you have already brought that person over.
Yes.
So if Nigerians can be able to, at least this market, language that you can be able to communicate with people, it's easier.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So now, briefly, what then are the roles of the government and the citizens in all of this?
The role of government is ensuring that, all the tools that is required for the agencies that needs to work for government are functioning, are available for them to be able to do it, so they can be able to reach the grassroots. For the community, I would say, is for them to open up to new ideas, as culture is dynamic.
Okay. All right. Now, do you think the school curriculum should inculcate all of this? Because we need to start from the basics.
Certainly. Because that's exactly where the root of all the issues, lie. Because if our children are being taught the right way, they can be able to, grow and imbibe those values and virtues. That's why, there is a need for us to have history as part of, what we learn. And like I said, let somebody also learn a new language apart from the language of your mother, so you can be able to reach out to the next community.
All right, thank you very much. Ahmed Mohammed. Ahmed have been speaking with the Artistic Director, National Troupe of Nigeria. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on Panorama today.
Thank you for bringing me in.
Okay, we move on to other issues. The federal government has taken delivery of 2 million doses of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine donated by the European Union. At the official handing over of the vaccine at the National Strategic Cold Store Airport, Abuja, European Union Ambassador to Nigeria, Samuela Isopi, and said the move is a step up to support member countries in Africa where vaccination is lower. Oluseyi Diago has the details.
The latest delivery of 2 million doses of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine will no doubt boost the vaccination drive of the federal government nationwide. The addition of vaccines is targeted at the hard-to-reach areas across the country. The federal government had earlier in 2021 procured about 40 million doses of J&J vaccine from the Afrexim Bank through the African Union, availing more Nigerians the opportunity to get vaccinated.
The expiry date for the current batch of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that have been donated is August of 2023. So we do have a lot of time to be able to ensure that we use up these vaccines.
As we head into the third year since the COVID outbreak,
The pandemic is not yet defeated. We must continue to work together to help partner countries to speed up vaccinations and to develop their capacity to manufacture vaccines locally.
The European Union representative and other development partners affirmed their resolve to support member countries in curbing this global pandemic. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Institution of the technical crew of the Super Eagles, with Augustine Eguavon staying as interim technical advisor, while former Flying Eagles coach Emmanuel Amunike drafted as immediate assistant to Eguavon and chief coach of the Super Eagles. Salisu Yusuf will be second assistant coach and coach of the Chan team, and Yobo third assistant, while Aloyago remains as goalkeeper trainer. After winning the 33rd edition of the African Cup of Nations on Sunday, Senegalese President Macky Sall declared Monday a public holiday to celebrate the national football team, the Teranga Lions' victory over the Pharaohs of Egypt at the final to win the tournament for the very first time in their third final. The Senegalese side will be decorated by the president on Tuesday at the Presidential Palace in Dakar. To European football, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland have agreed to bid to co-host the Euro 2028 Football Championship and also to drop their aims of hosting the 2030 FIFA World Cup. This will provide the first ever hosting right for Wales, Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland. The 5 football associations have come to a collective decision after what they called an extensive feasibility study. Finally, on the World Club Cup, Chelsea will face Al Hilal on Wednesday in the semi-finals of the World Club Cup competition. The Saudi Arabian club sides trashed Abu Dhabi team Al Jazeera 6-1 on Sunday, with Super Eagles striker Odion Igalo amongst the goal scorers on his debut. European Champions League and Super Cup winners Chelsea joined the competition at the last 4 stage. Al Hilal qualified for the World Club competition after winning the Asian Football Confederation's trophy. Chelsea will be hoping to win the competition for the very first time as it commences its campaign with the semi-final clash against Odion Igalo's Al Hilal on Wednesday. Chelsea had to make the trip to Abu Dhabi without its manager Thomas Tuchel, who tested positive for COVID-19 on Saturday. With sports update, Gift George, NTA News.
And that's Panorama came to you live from the Lagos Network Center of the NTA. Remember to join the NTA to stand against rape and rapists. I am Adeola Komiakiri.